Verse 3 says, "Therefore wash yourself and anoint yourself, put on your best garment and go down to the threshing floor." Since the death of her husband, Ruth had probably worn widow's garments the entire time. For the first time since that occasion, she will now adorn herself in beautiful raiment and be prepared in a most radiant way. Her clothes would smell wonderful, like I do, because I always have patchouli on. Her face would glow from a bath, and her hair would be shiny from a handful of olive oil, just like my beard with a handful of oil in it every day. If she caught the notice of Boaz while she was hot, sweaty, and wearing widow's clothes as she gleaned, imagine how naturally lovely this woman must have been. And so with the added beauty, the only word that can describe her would be radiant. At the time of the covenant with Israel, God, through Ezekiel, describes them in just the same way. Listen to this and think of Ruth, okay? This is God at the time of the covenant with Israel. "When I passed by you again and looked upon you, indeed, your time was the time of love. So I spread my wing over you and covered your nakedness. Yes, I swore an oath to you and entered into a covenant with you, and you became mine, says the Lord God. Then I washed you in water. Yes, I thoroughly washed off your blood, and I anointed you with oil." If the covenant with Israel was comparable to Ruth's appearance, then Ruth, a Gentile who is meeting with Boaz, must be picturing a new covenant with the Lord. Again, we're brought to ask why this story is included in the Bible. Listen to how Paul describes us as the church and how closely it matches what we would think of Ruth at this time. "Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with the water through the word, and to present her to himself as a radiant church, without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless." If this story were merely to introduce Ruth as an ancestor of David and then Jesus, then a short genealogical note somewhere maybe in the book of Chronicles would have sufficed. But instead, more detail is given to this story than any other such story of its type in the entire Bible. Every word and every detail is given to show us of a greater story of love, redemption, and restoration. Every person mentioned is emblematic of another figure or precept which leads to the work of Jesus Christ. It is truly a work of beauty. God has taken these real people, real human beings with their truly human needs and desires, and has used them as examples of his redemption for all of the people of the world. As an appropriate parallel thought to this verse, Stark says this: "The bride of Christ is pleasing to her bridegroom only when anointed with the Spirit and clothed in the garments of salvation." Without these, we cannot be a part of God's plan of redemption, but with them, we are his once and forever redeemed.